I'm pleased to ask Gary, Mr. Woods, if he will come and share with us something of where he and Judy currently are in life. I'm looking around, and most of you know Gary and Judy. This church has supported them in ministry as missionaries to Kenya and Tanzania, and since they've been back, continued to support so that they can continue to support those missions that they have been a part of. There's a lot to say, but rather than say that, I'm just going to invite you to listen to Gary.
Good morning. It's good to be here and a privilege to share in this congregation again. I don't know if you have really stepped back and taken the big look, but your church in a small town in Hanford has had a major impact in the world. Let me say that again. Your church in a small town of Hanford, California has had a major impact in the world. Sometimes it's easy to forget what you have accomplished, what God has accomplished through you. And this congregation has been known for years and years for being involved in missions. Herb and Marilyn Works. It was a conversation on the phone with Herb and Herb Works, who was our professor at NCC, that led us to take the step out to move to Africa. When I called Herb and said, we're feeling like God's calling us to go to Africa, and do you think that we have it in us to be missionaries in Africa? He said, let me tell you this. He said, I've been praying for you for 12 years to make this decision. That was from Hanford, California. So as I'm beginning just to give you a little taste of what's been happening and what's continuing to happen, I just want to remind you who you are and what God has done through you. You may even remember it was several years ago that we had a fund drive where we were asking congregations all across the country if they could help us to raise money for a vehicle. And we got a wonderful brand new 2008 Toyota Land Cruiser, and that served us well as we traveled all over Tanzania and Kenya. That vehicle is still operating out there, still doing ministry every single day. And Judy and I were there last fall and riding in that vehicle as they now taking us, the old people, places in that very same vehicle that you helped purchase. So I'm just telling you that the things that we have worked on together in the past, Judy and I spent 31 years in Africa, and we retired 4 years ago. And these 4 years have been difficult years for us for a number of reasons. When we came back from Africa, we had 3 remaining parents, and our ministry was to our parents. Now we have lost Judy's mother in April, and my dad last September, and my mother's still fine. She'll probably outlive me. She's going to be 94 next week, and we'll be home for her birthday, and she has no problem, no hearing difficulty, no any issues. And she's doing fine. So we've been ministering to our parents. Ourselves, we're human like everybody else. I got a heart problem, had to have a heart surgery, got cancer, on path with oncologists. It's just life. That's what happens in this life, and we're no different than anybody else. But we've continued to be involved in the ministry in Tanzania as well as Kenya. I was just there in March for a month, traveling around visiting church planters. You'll be happy to know that when we began, you might remember we began with 0 church planters. Now we have 200 families out there planting churches all across in 35 different tribes. And when I was there in March, I had the great opportunity to be a passenger in the vehicle, and the African man who was driving me is the one that I trained and worked with for many years, and he's driving me around, and we're visiting church planters to encourage them. Was able to be in the training course and visit the church planters who were coming in to be trained before they were going out. It's continuing on. What you have helped us to begin is continuing on. Sometimes when you put money in missions, you wonder what happened to it, where to go, what's happening. And just so happens our friend Selma died, and we came down for her service yesterday. And I said, and we're staying with Tom and Shelley, I said, we'd like to be in worship here with you today, just to help you to realize that what you have done is continuing to be at work. So we went last fall. I went in March, and Judy and I are going next month. And we'll be gone a month, and we'll be visiting. You may remember the young Maasai young man that we've been helping to go through first university and then medical school. Now he's a doctor, and so we're working with him to establish a health center with a referral hospital and clinics scattered around in villages in Kajiado district, where we began in Kenya in 1987. So retirement is not just to quit. Retirement is to change gears. I think a lot of you understand what I'm saying. I can't do everything that I used to do, and I have some, like, this arm doesn't want to go up anymore. I can't lift it up. And it was that motorcycle accident you may remember that I had in 2002. It's still bothering me. But I have things that I can do. So Judy and I are privileged to continue being involved in what's happening in Kenya among our churches, which now the church that we started in our little village back in the late 80s, now they're getting ready to build their third building because they can't fit the people in. They have, I don't know, how many did we decide, Judy, that they said? Over 400 on Sunday, and people standing in the windows and the doors looking in. And when we were there last year, they said, well, we need to build a new building. That's because of folks like you who said that it's important to reach out beyond ourselves and to do something significant in the world, to partner with Jesus and what he's doing to bring people into the kingdom. And so many, many people have come, thousands. I'm always getting friend requests on Facebook from Maasai, and most of the time I say yes, because I figure they know me somehow or other. I don't know everybody, but they seem to know me. So I have many friends. And so we hope to continue going and being involved in the work as long as we're able, and they still want us to come. And so we're excited to be there next, we leave on August 30th and go and visit in Kenya and in Tanzania. So we're also involved in a very special ministry that we had shared with you about at the end of our time working in Africa. And I think we're being recorded, so I have to be careful what we're saying. But we're involved in a safe house ministry for young ladies who are persecuted because of their faith. Got a message from the head of that ministry while I was sitting right there on the bench a few minutes ago. They're being hunted, and they had an incident 2 weeks ago that was very scary, and there's people that are actively hunting them, and we have to move them from time to time. So I'm on the board for that ministry. It's now under CMF, and so I did that so then people could send funds in through CMF to help us with that safe house. So we are involved in that as well. So we are not just sitting around watching TV. I don't even know how to play golf, so I didn't pick up golf in retirement. I don't think my arm would work anyway. This arm's not working too good. But Judy and I are happy to be with you today, and just to remind you who you are in Christ and what we have accomplished together. And when we lay down our time, somebody else picks it up. And so there's younger people there today who are taking it on, driving our vehicle, and they're moving forward. The two white young ladies, both married Tanzanian young men, and they have started some new things that we didn't do 4 years ago. New, young, fresh ideas have happened, and God is at work and reaching out to many young people through a worship ministry. They have a band, and they're doing some exciting new things in Tanzania. So again, thank you for allowing us to speak for a few moments and to just share with you what God is doing and continuing to do in Tanzania and in Kenya And you can pray for us if you would like when we'll be there next month. And we're taking a new trip. We're taking one from Portland to New York City. And then when we get to New York City, we're getting on a non-stop flight to Nairobi, Kenya. I've never done that before. We always go to Europe or Middle East or someplace. So we're getting on a Kenya Airways flight directly to Nairobi, and it should be interesting. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll try it out and let you know. Blessings, Linda. Our family's doing very well. Our oldest daughter, Kendra, and her husband and grandchildren live in the South Island of New Zealand, and they have been very locked down, as I'm sure you watch on the news. Now they opened up and people are coming in, and our grandson got COVID 2 weeks ago and been quite sick, but he's improved now. Our second daughter, Harmony, she lives within 20 minutes of where we're living in the Portland area. And her husband are finding out how it is to be empty nesters because the daughter's moved out, our granddaughter's 20, and the grandson just finished high school, and he kind of comes and goes, and so they're at that phase. And our son Jack, you remember, Jack's birthday is this week on Wednesday. He'll be 28. You remember when he came to our house, he was 6. And now here he is, 28. I don't know what happened. Well, when COVID hit, his roommates or housemates lost their jobs and went back to their parents, and he couldn't afford the rent of a house himself. So he moved back in with us, and he's still there. I think he likes Mom's cooking. So Jack is with us. He works at the Hillsborough Airport. He got a degree in, aviation management. I always get it wrong. I want him to be, something different. But anyway, he got a degree in aviation management, and so he's working at the airport. So thank you for asking. All of our children and grandchildren are doing well, and we're doing well. We just old people now, We're moving into the 70s now, so we're doing it again. We did the 70s back in that other time, and then now we're doing the 70s this time. So God bless you. Thank you for letting us to share with you this morning.
Thank you, Gary. I think again, most of you know, but I just have to say it that it was really a night spent with Gary and Judy while they were on furlough from Kenya many years ago that Shelley and I were finally able to come to the realization that we were truly called into ministry. And I'm certain I wouldn't be standing here in front of you if we had not had that conversation. So they've played an important part in our lives, and the reason that happened is because you played an important part in their lives. I would have never met them if it had not been for you. It's a good thing that God does, bringing us all together and letting us all be part of the life that He has planned out for us.